Like, you know it's gonna be a good day when you make a good matcha. Hey guys, welcome to today's video where we are going to be talking about my May reading wrap up and my summer TBR. I was thinking about throwing my May wrap up into like a weekly vlog and then making a standalone summer TBR video, but I see so many people do the like monthly wrap up with the next month TBR, so I figured let's just throw it together. I don't really have a June TBR. I feel like I just have books that I'm interested in reading over the next few months of summer. So let's talk about my May reading wrap up first, but here's a timestamp if you're just curious about the summer TBR. So I finished this technically on the last day of April, but I was filming my reading wrap up and I was like, guys, I'm literally finishing this book today. I finished it, which means I finished the Throne of Glass series. I won't talk really much about this. I gave it 4.5 stars. I have full non-spoiler and spoiler thoughts in the Throne of Glass Part 2 reading vlog, so I'll link that down below if you want to watch that journey, or just skip to the end if you want to know my like thoughts on the series. But I cannot believe that this is over. Like, so many months of reading this series and buddy reading it with a friend, like, what a surreal experience finishing this book and being like it's over. Like, what do I do with my life now? So first, finish Kingdom of Ash. And then I actually don't know the order that I read things, so I just have a book here and we'll dive into it, and then I will talk about all my like Kindle books at the end. So I read From Lugof with Love. I do think this was actually the first book I finished in the month. I read this on my plane ride there and back from Florida. Wow, this is exactly what I needed at that time because I loved The Favorites, which was a like ice skating, ice dancing romance. And so after finishing that, I knew this was going to be my next Mariana Zapata read. I've read a few books from her and I feel like all of them, I just love the slow burn. I love her writing. This was no different. I think I maybe give it 4.5. I really enjoyed it, but like the pacing of a Mariana Zapata book is so specific to her. It works for me. I like it. If you like her and you like a good now like ice dance thing, if you read The Favorites and you're like, I need more, pick this up. I'm so happy I have this. I read the arc of Save Me, which is the English translation of Mona Kasten's like Maxton Hall book 1. I loved the Amazon Prime series so much. We're getting season 2 hopefully at the end of this year, but I have the German edition here, but I had the like e-arc that I read. Where is my Kindle? You know what? Doesn't matter. Okay, but I have this, so I figured let's just like show her in all of her beauty and glory. So I read this. I really couldn't give the book as like singular rating, so I left it unrated on Goodreads, but like it was a 5-star experience because I was visualizing the show. I was visualizing that cast, also the scenes like here that are in the series. I felt like I was playing them out with like, as I was reading, I was playing the music that was playing in the show kind of thing, so it just brought everything to life, which enhanced it so much. So I don't really know like how the book is alone and outside of implementing the show in the back of my head, you know what I mean? But I felt like any scene in here that was played out like differently than I have seen in the show, I felt like it was just like a bonus to me. So I felt like it wasn't, wow, they played that different in the show and it like messed with me. Instead it was just like, wow, I just got a bonus scene. So I really loved it, and if you have not watched Maxton Hall, you really should, and I think this comes out in July. So I honestly just recommend watching the show, and then if you feel like you love it, dive into the book, because I think maybe the book might fall flat for you if you don't have the like experience of watching all the like eye contact across the room and the music that brought everything to life and the emotions from watching these people bring this to, you know what I mean? Yeah, wow, what a journey that was. These next two I'm very happy about because I got them as a like bookish box from Aardvark, and I immediately read both of them. So the first one is How to Hide in Plain Sight. This I think is gonna be like a top read of the year for me, just because of how like special and unique it felt to read. I didn't give it 5 stars. I think I maybe gave it like 4.5 or something, but I really love this experience. It is about our female main character who has severe OCD, but it's a type of OCD that is like just the severe mental side of the intrusive thoughts that don't go away, and they just spiral and spiral and spiral. Not necessarily, oh, I have to do this 3 times, or like it's not a numbers thing, it's more the mental side. And she actually has like an author's note like to the reader at the beginning, and I really loved it. I feel like it stuck out to me. I don't have OCD, but I do have a friend that has it, and I immediately sent it to her because I feel like the way she's talked about her OCD makes me think of this. And I really enjoyed the hybrid read of this because I feel like the audiobook, like, it brought the thoughts to life. You know, when you just like have these thoughts in your head and you're just like rapid fire the way like your thoughts go from one thing to the next. I feel like the audiobook brought that to life, and like instead of just reading on a page, I feel like I would have slowed down the book if I was just physically reading, but because I like was reading alongside someone narrating their intrusive thoughts, it just really like immersed me into the story. And so it's really just our main female character having to go back to all of her family for a wedding, and she's really like isolated herself the last few years from them, and so you're seeing the OCD side of it along with like family dynamics, and there is a subplot of romance in here as well. So I really enjoyed it. I felt like I flew through it as well. So if you're looking for a like summer read that's not just pure like romance and like fluffy, you want a bit more, this is a great one. The other book that I got from them is Back After This. This reminded me of a hybrid of First Time Caller and Well Actually. I read Well Actually as an e-arc. I think it's out this summer, maybe August. And that book is like someone that does like a kind of like think of like an Instagram reel show or like a TikTok reel show. Like they have like mini episodes on social media, and they're like eating hot dogs and having a show host, and they have these two main characters that are going on a series of dates to prove like he can actually be a good guy kind of thing. And then First Time Caller is like the radio show host that is like a Sleepless in Seattle vibe. This felt like a hybrid because we have someone that is really wanting to be into like the podcast industry, and she's like a producer on the back end, but they're throwing her into the forefront of this new podcast show situation where she is going on a series of blind dates to fall in love. I guess the person that's leading it, she is like an influencer that is working with our main character, and the influencer like thinks she's unlocked the key to love, and so she's setting her up on all these blind dates, and you're having the romance story here, but also just our main character learning like the value of herself and like if she really wants to go down this path in her career. And then obviously having your romance like put onto the internet is very scary. So I just flew through it. It wasn't like a special read per se, but I felt like it was what I like liked and wanted at the time. So if you're wanting something quick and like just like a fun story, I liked it. I liked the like adult aspect of this. It didn't feel like super cheesy, and I don't know, I really liked it. It was short, so I do wish we had a bit more depth of some of our characters. I really loved our main character Will. He was so great, and I wish we had like more of him and then more of our two main characters like on page together. So it was a shorter book, so that kind of like takes those scenes out, but I think that's what it was missing for me, but I still really enjoyed it. All the others I read in May were on my Kindle. So I read The Dagger and the Flame. This is book one of a duology or trilogy. I'm not so sure. It's The City of Phantom. I gave it 4 stars. So you're following, it's such a cool like fantasy book. You're following the daggers and I know it's not called the flames, but it's like thieves, and oh my god, why am I blanking? This is absolutely ridiculous. This is what happens when you read a book way too early on. The cloaks and the daggers, it's the thieves and the assassins. So cloaks, thieves, daggers, assassins, and there are these like 2 groups in the city essentially that kind of like battle with each other, but they sort of have this truce because if you attack one of the other groups, you're kind of going into war in a way, think of it like mafia-esque, but it's like fantasy because they do have like magic in the system and everything. And so you have our main 2 characters that are like one from the assassins, one from the thieves, and they keep crossing paths and they keep kind of being like intrigued by one another, and they both have this magic that like kind of in a way complements each other, and so they're like confused by that. We also have these 2 groups that cannot mix, and so it was such a fun like start to the series. I absolutely flew through it. I felt like it was such a unique like storyline, and with the magic system and just like kind of embedding that into just like, oh, they're thieves and assassins but they also have magic. It was so cool. It was so cool. Yeah, 4 stars. I do recommend it. I feel like the way it ended has me very excited for the next book. I feel like I was kind of just like vibing and having a good time for a majority of it, and then the last like 25% I was like wait, this is so good. So I'm very excited for book 2. The last 2 books I read for May were also fantasy, the first one being A Requiem for Fallen Stars by Hazel S. Wilkes. This actually comes out in 2 days on June 3rd. It's June 1st when I'm filming this. Please go read this. This was my single 5-star read of May, and I loved everything about this book. Oh my gosh. Okay, how do I even... No, I can do hard things. What was like my review for this? Literally, I think I read this in probably 2 or 3 sittings. It was one of those things where like I was just busy, so I couldn't read it for longer periods of time, but every time I picked it up, I did not want to put it down. Okay, I just gotta read what I wrote here because I feel like this probably encompasses it a lot better than whatever I'm gonna say. This book only got better as we were introduced to more characters and witnessed the world unfold. I haven't been this excited for a fantasy world and its sequel in a while. I feel like with Throne of Glass, I was like excited because it's such a like appreciated series, loved series, but like everyone's read it already. This being an arc that like not many people have been introduced to, it was like I read this for me, not knowing any other opinions of it, and that was what made it so special. And I was like, this is a new fantasy series that like I think people are gonna obsess over, and if they don't, then it's underrated. You know what I mean? Like then they're just not getting into the right hands because it is such an amazing book. Okay. I love the friendships as much as the romance, and the found family in here was so good. So good. More than anything though, I can't get over the plot. Yes, the plot of like this entire thing was just so well done throughout the entire book, and the ending had my jaw on the floor. It was so good. I will be thinking about this book for a while. I don't want to say anything that isn't in the synopsis, but you are following Lyra. She is someone that is a knight, a courtesan kind of thing at her kingdom. And it was a situation that she was forced into when her mother was killed. And so like killed kind of like off page, but like before the book started. And so you're following Lyra, who doesn't have magic, but at least in this world you're not killed for not having magic, but she doesn't have it, hasn't blossomed for her like her other people in her life, and so she's kind of like stuck in this position as a knight courtesan, and all of a sudden she's in this situation where her magic flares, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, she's a late bloomer, she actually does have magic, and she like no one knew, and so she pulls like a 180, and she tells the king, like she makes a blood bargain, blood whatever with the king that she's serving, to say like, I'm gonna go to this elite academy, and if I like pass the test and I'm like allowed to be, what do they call them? Do they call, like, does it say it in here? It doesn't say, but it's pretty much like an army in a way, and it's like if she is accepted into this army, then the king has to like let her go of her like blood oath to serve him for eternity as a knight courtesan. And so she's going to this academy with her best friend. Does it say his name in here? No, but it's someone that's like has been like her lifelong best friend in that town, and so she's able to go with him to the academy, and that's where we are introduced to our other characters, and you just have like the found family element of the academy as like people are going through it, but like you're introduced to people that have already been in the academy. They're very strong, they're very like well trained. You have a romance there, you have a few romances really, and you're just like seeing everyone grow. And then obviously there's going to be drama with like the right and wrong people that rule the kingdoms and the world, and you're supposed to have people that are like unbiased, and obviously you have politics involved there. But I love the magic, I loved the kingdoms, the world building, everything was just very easy to understand. Or it's like if it was a little confusing, then maybe it was like supposed to be like you're gonna learn more information as you go into the series. So I just loved so much about this book. Wow, it could go on and on forever, obviously. So those are all the books that I read in May. I'm gonna take a break and drink some matcha, and then I'm gonna come back and we're gonna go over some of the books that I hope to read during summer. Like, it's good for the vocal cords, you know, like I have to drink it. I'm going to go over all the books that I have physically for my TBR, and then I'm going to go over the new releases, and then add in a few on like my Libby holds that they're going to be coming in soon, so I'm hoping to read them as well. So first up physically is Pictures of You by Emma Gray. This cover reminds me of like the Mary Jane, Malibu Rising kind of summer reads I've had. This one is following Evie, where she is supposed to be grieving her dead husband because she's just got in a car crash. She survived, but she has no memory. And like no memories for like a while, maybe like years of her life. Frankly, I'm not entirely sure of the timeline of that, but she's not grieving her husband because she doesn't remember her husband. And so her best friend from high school, Drew, she is working with him to regain those memories. But if I remember correctly, she doesn't even know who Drew is. So think about like your best friend, you're helping her regain her memories, and you have all these memories of her, but she has like no idea who you are. That is heartbreaking. So I don't know the full synopsis, but that's like what I remember of it and like glimpsed on the back. So I'm really excited for this one. I have not read a single Kristen Hanna book, and unfortunately I'm starting with this one. Tears, so I'm told. So I actually don't know the synopsis of this. I'm gonna go into it relatively blind. I know it's like more of the historical side, and like I'm scared and excited. So, oh, soon to be a major motion picture. That's exciting. So yeah, I definitely want to read this summer. Something about summer, like I usually don't gravitate towards like the fluffy romances. I feel like I love books like this, or The Pictures of You, or even the, what did I just read? I put it somewhere, like the How to Hide in Plain Sight. Like I love those kinds of books. So a couple years ago, I read Billy Summers by Stephen King, and I really loved that I read it during the summer. Something about it hit so hard. So I wanted to pick up this last year, and I didn't, but I'm going to this year. So it's Fairy Tale. It is not one of the kind of like horror-esque books of Stephen King. This is following Charlie, who's a high school kid, and he, I think, just has like a tough life, but he is helping out Howard Bowditch. Okay, he's helping out Howard, who is kind of an older man, a recluse in a big house on top of a big hill with a locked shed in the backyard. Sometimes strange sounds emerge from that shed. And so I think Howard like dies or something and leaves Charlie a cassette tape telling a story no one would believe. So it sounds really good. I picked this up at one of the like used bookstores, I think from the library, and it's Before We Were Innocent. A summer in Greece for three best friends ends in the unthinkable when only two return home. Yeah, I'm not sure of the full synopsis, but the cover, I'm intrigued. This one I'm actually hoping to start today, and that is Passion Project by London Sperry. I think this cover is outstanding. I have seen so many amazing reviews, so I'm very excited for this one. But yeah, I have the audiobook checked out from Libby right now, and then obviously the physical. So I'm hoping to start this today and actually do a buddy read with Ayana. So hopefully we can start that. Then I have Promise Me Sunshine. I have not read Ready or Not, but that is something I have but on hold from Libby. So I have this one that I'm hoping to read soon, sooner than later. This has been staring at me. I have the audiobook on hold, so I'm hoping that comes in soon, but this is such a beautiful book. And then the last one physically, I want to do a reread of When the Moon Hatched. So the second book was supposed to come out in October, but it's pushed to February. So I'm thinking like an August reread for me. I don't know, we'll see, but I do want to read this relatively soon. I really enjoyed it the first time, but obviously it's very thick, and I know I didn't absorb everything, and now it's been a while, so I'm waiting to read it again and just kind of like vibe, pick up more information. And now that I've read it, like I have a general idea, and like I remember what went on, but not a lot of the details. So with knowing like the big ending aspect of this, I'm curious to do like a reread. There are quite a few new releases coming out in June, July, and August, so I'm gonna go over the ones that like I want to read as soon as they come out, not necessarily all the books that I'm interested in. So in June, we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The fact that I like work in the space industry, this has me interested, and it's Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I just feel like this, I don't know, it gives less of her romance and more of her like literary fiction kind of vibed book. So very excited for this one. I do have Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston, but I'm kind of iffy on this. I feel like the people that have had the arc give an iffy review, so I'm kind of scared, but I feel like if I get it from Libby, then I'll read it quicker, and if I can't get it and it's like a massive hold, then I'll read it whenever I get it kind of thing. This is your reminder that Save Me by Mona Keston comes out on the 1st, so Max and Hall lovers unite, read that book. Okay, on the 8th of July, we have Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. I've heard mixed reviews, but I feel like I'm gonna want to read it relatively quickly when it comes out because I really love her work now. Like, ever since reading Not Another Love Song, I think like I want to read all her like next work kind of thing, all the new releases. So that is one. And it's like her diving into fantasy. What? I do have a couple others, but I just don't know if I'm going to prioritize them when they come out because of all the other books I know I really want to read. But we have another Jennifer Lynn Barnes book, and we have the second book following Fear the Flames called Wrath of the Dragons. And I feel like that's another one that's like I'm interested in because I want to see if it gets better. I feel like I gave the first book 3.5 stars. And so I was like, okay, like this is like I can see potential here. So I'm curious how book 2 goes. It's called Wrath of Dragons. So it's one of those things that I think if I get it from Libby on like release day kind of thing, or it's like a short hold, then I'll read it sooner. And if it's like months and months or something, then I'll get to it when I get to it. And then in August, we have a few more. We have If Not For My Baby by Kate Golden. I actually have the arc of this, so I am hoping to read that honestly in the next couple of weeks. My friend Dana just started it and she's eating it up. And so seeing her reaction, I was like, okay, fine. I'll read it sooner than later because it's a romance about like a rock star and it's like Hozier inspired, Hozier themed. And I'm like, say less, say less. The next two that I'm interested in is Mistress of Bones by Maria Z. Medina. Seeing this title, I have no idea what the synopsis is. I can't even picture the cover right now. But I had to have read the synopsis at one point and added it here. So I'm curious about that one. It's the new R.F. Kuang book, but I don't know if I should read this because I really need to read Babel. So I feel like I should hold off, read Babel first. Not like, I don't think, they're not connected, but it's just more like being introduced to the author kind of thing. I also really want to read Yellowface. So I'm conflicted, but I have that release on here. And then the arcs that I actually already read for the August releases is Well Actually that I talked about already. I do recommend it. I think I gave it, let's say 4 stars, but like it was a good book. I say that because I feel like if you don't give a book 4.5 or 5 stars and it's like, oh, I didn't like love it, but like 4 stars. No, I really enjoyed it. I think there was just like parts of it that I didn't, but you can see like my full unspoiler, seriously JC, non-spoiler review on Goodreads for it. And then Love at First Sighting, I think this is another one that I gave like 4 or 4.5. Like it was the perfect book at that time. It is like X-Files coded. Oh, I ate it up. I talked about that in maybe 2 months ago, like as my monthly wrap-up situation, but that was a fun arc to read. I love the X-Files, so to read that as like a modern day romance kind of thing, oh, that was so fun. So that leads me to September where we get into more and more, but those are all like the new releases. Let me know if I'm missing any because I feel like, oh, I'm definitely missing one, and that's the new Jessa Hastings book. The gasp that I gasped when that came out, I thought she was releasing a podcast with all the photos. I was like, oh, she's doing a podcast. A book. What did I do to deserve Conditions of Will and another book in this, like within months of each other? Like that was insane. As far as my holds go on Libby, I do have A Curse Carved in Bone, the second book in, what was the first one? A Fate Inked in Blood. So this is book 2. I didn't love A Fate Inked in Blood, but I really loved like the magic system and the world. So I'm curious how book 2 goes. And so I do have it checked out from Libby because I didn't want to spend my own money. So that will be coming in a couple weeks. I have The Bright Years, which I am interested in trying to get like a physical copy, but it's in hardcover only, and I'm such a paperback girl, and I've had that experience with a couple books recently. I want to get the new Frederick Backman book. Backman, whatever, you get it. Like My Friends, but it's also only in hardcover right now. So we're waiting. And then I have The Prince Without Sorrow. That is a relatively new release, but I haven't been able to get the ebook and the audio to line up yet, but they're both like just a couple weeks of waiting. So hopefully those come in soon. I did check out Ready or Not. That has a 2-week hold. So I'm hoping I get that soon. And if I get it before I get the Promise Me Sunshine audio, then I'll start that. I forgot about this. How did I forget? But it's The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I'm waiting to get the ebook because I have the audio as like the Libro.fm's ALC program, but I really, really, really want to have the like a physical copy, but it's hardcover only, so I don't want to buy it. So I'm getting the ebook from Libby. And then I think that's it because all the others are like weeks out, and I don't know, like weeks and weeks and weeks. So those are all the books that I am wanting to read for the summer. I mean, obviously there's going to be other ones that pop up. It's just like the kind of person I am, but these are the books that like I am focusing on. And then I'm a mood reader, so who knows? Or I feel like people just like send me recommendations, or I watch a friend fall in love with a book and I'm like, I guess I'm reading that too, thank you. So let me know if you guys have read any of these books, if I need to push them up in priority, or if you've read them and you're like, babes, you might want to skip out on that one, or put it to the bottom of the list, you know? And if I'm missing any books that I need to read during summer, or like new releases, things like that, I feel like I get the most recommendations through like social media and people commenting and messaging me recommendations. So you guys, I need you. With that, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.